think we are going to be live real soon. Hit the right button. Hopefully I can do this. I don't know. It's always so much fun trying to figure this all out. Hey, welcome. Looks like we have Lucas and we have Gary. Gary? I know I'm saying your name right. Anyhow, hey everybody. ScouterStan here. Want to welcome everyone to our monthly meeting. Hopefully, you can hear me. Please give me a thumbs up if you can hear what I'm saying. Unfortunately, these I don't think are hooked up correctly. This has been an ongoing issue that I've been trying to fix, and it has been very challenging being an older person. I'm not very technically inclined. There was a time when I was. I used to sell computers long time ago, and that was so I understand enough to really mess things up. so it's been fantastic, and I see we have Luca. Lucas is a member. He actually joined the channel, so he actually has priority here. So way, way to go, Brian. Yeah, that's awesome, Lucas. Thank you so much for the thumbs up. I appreciate that. It has been a hard 2022. I am looking forward to this year. Um, I want to get more into helping adult leaders. I want to help them with the new season, season 8. I think we're scheduling the first shows to be recorded this weekend, this coming weekend. So that's going to be challenging. Some things have changed in my scouting life. I have last year in 2019, I left membership and took the year off with my district as just I think it was district member at large. That was my actual title for my district for my volunteer work. They asked me to do on occasion Eagle Boards review, and I really enjoy that process. Seeing the results of troops and how they have mentored and coached their scouts towards that goal is just one of the best jobs in scouting. And I accidentally said that too loud. So when the advancement position for the district came up, they asked me, and I could not say no. So I'm very glad. But I am now scheduling a lot of that stuff. I'm reviewing a lot of the Eagle projects. Um, I am tough, but I'm fair. So that's just ScouterStan. So, but that being the case, the channel will continue. I don't see that there's going to be a reason not to. I do a lot of this in the evenings, do a lot of the editing. I hope you have taken advantage of the Heinz 57 series. We have one more coming out. It'll be on patches, I think. I'll have to check that one, but that's coming up. So if you have questions on in that regard, but as far as the new season coming up, we're finalizing a lot of the scripts. I do that myself, and it's very time consuming. I have to go through a lot of links and read up on things. Some things I know just off the top of my head. I've been in the scouting stuff most of my life, and a lot of it I just know. So, or if I don't know, I know where to look. So, and that's very helpful when I'm putting those scripts together. So that's always a very important thing that I'm doing within scouting locally. I'm looking forward to that. I think the advancement chair that was in there before did an excellent job. He was phenomenal, a very good friend, and he moved on up to a council position. So as a volunteer, so it was just a natural for me to kind of step in and take the thing over. So But the council and the district and everything, they announced it today, I believe. Being the first, this is kind of exciting. So, but I'm so glad to see that you guys are here. If you have questions, please drop them in. There is a time delay between what I'm seeing in the monitor and what I see on my desktop. My software, um, it's an OBS is the name of it. That's the software that I'm using. It's free, so I can't afford it as a volunteer. That's always a good thing. And I'm gonna be getting a microphone. In my past, I was on radio. I have a voice, I guess, and I did voices, and we did vignettes, and I was different characters, and just having fun. And this was back in the 1980s, okay, 1990s. It was a long time ago. Um, but I have now this wonderful venue to talk about scouting, which has always been a center part of my life, and that's one of the great things. I do want to talk a little bit about um, some of the last shows from last season. If you haven't had a chance, please go ahead and look at those. Um, let's see, the top three patch collecting varieties, the styles. That was one of the things we did early on, just to figure out, where people were as far as patch collecting. That was something, as far as what they collected, whether it be council strips or OA flaps or what have you. They had different varieties that are out there, and they mingle between different things. So if you're into council stuff, you're naturally going to be looking at a lot of the OA stuff. So they cross back and forth. So that's something that collectors get into, and patch collecting is a wonderful way for adult leaders to help youth get involved in it and use the Scout Oath and Scout Law within their trading, which is nice because then that gets them in a safe environment so that they can use those skills when they are trading patches. Very important. So that was one of those things that we did. We also did another thing about increasing the OA participation throughout the United States. OA, the lodges, each lodge has chapters. Every chapter is usually a district within the council. So the lodge, and then you have your districts, which is your chapter. The chapter meetings tend to be not well attended. So, and there's many factors that you can include to go back and get those scouts more involved. Okay, that's very important as far as the scouts getting involved in the OA. OA is for the older scouts, and it's one of those unique situations that the older scouts tend to stay in longer, therefore progress more towards Eagle. So this is a big thing as far as getting people towards that advancement goal that they have. That's important. So we need to get this involvement going again with the Brotherhood of Cheerful Service, which is the OA. We need to get them more involved. I believe one of the first three shows, I think it's number three, of the next season, which starts the 11th of this month. Uh, that's going to be on. I believe it's about cheerful service, and it's an OA thing. So, and it's going to talk a little bit about how troops and representatives in the troops can actually promote within the troop. The other video back in the last season was all about the chapter meetings, okay, wherever they may be. Normally, throughout the country, they tend to be at roundtable. So that tends to be the cycle as far as the roundtable stuff. But those were some of the videos at the very end of last season, and I hope you enjoyed the jokes. I noticed that people made it about 2 minutes and stopped. I don't know if it was because of the jokes or because they wanted to move on or something, but the average view was about 2 minutes. I don't blame you. Some of those are really, they're dad jokes. So they're not the best, but it's one of those things. And I'm really looking forward to this year. This year's going to be a lot of fun. Um, we need to get back to doing. Let's put it this way. Back in the day, okay, I'm going to use an old timer. That's me. I'm going to use an old timer phrase. Back in the day, we cared about not just the youth and their advancement and the scouting and all that stuff, but we also cared about the adults. We did fun things. The adults had get togethers, they had time to spend with one another. We need to develop that back in. It seems that we are so focused on the youth, which is this should be, but we need to also focus on the adults. We need to give back to them who are donating all this time to other people's kids. Okay? They are helping that unit. So we need to give back to them. We need to see that their needs are met and all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to develop a little more of that. I noticed, Lucas, you had a question. I am trying to put together some conversation projects, conservation projects, yes, for national parks. Okay, service. Oh, by the way, while I'm reading this, I found out that the last two live um, meetings that we had, the comments kept getting cut off. The reason is that when YouTube trims the ends, they don't tell you this. I yelled at them. I sent them a note, and I was, courteous and kind, and I typed an angry note to them. I don't think they'd replied. But they never tell you that if you trim all the time off of your live stuff, you lose your live conversation. So I'm sorry, but from now on, I'm not doing any editing. I'm not adding anything. I'm not going to change anything. So if you rewatch this, I don't want to lose the live comments on the side, because I find those to be very, very valuable. So, but back to Lucas's question. Lucas, you're trying to get together some conservation. I keep saying conservation. Okay, conservation projects, National Service Works. The best place to start is to find the people that you are going to be donating your time to. Find them and ask them what they need. And that's true for Eagle projects too. A lot of people get their heart set on a certain thing and it's not available. Nobody wants it. So it's so much better to go in and find out what they want. That is so important. So when you're dealing with these projects and these, it's a conservation project is a very big thing. Okay, there was even I did a show last season about the conservation award. So getting that started is very, very important. Um, Advice be find somebody who wants the project. That's first. That would be my primary suggestion. Um, it's one of those things that a conservation project could be anything from cleaning up an area that after a controlled burn. It could be something of that nature. It could be cleaning out brush to prevent an out of control burn. And these are, it's not just a lot. It's, maybe a square mile. Okay, it's a it's a lot of work. Okay, you're going to need a lot of help. So if you go to the forest preserve wherever you live, go to the forest preserve and ask them, what do you need? What do you need as a conservation project? Literally just go and say, these are my hands, and I have many other hands that will help. Tell us what you want. That is worth its weight in gold. Okay? So my friend, please ask them what they want. That is so important. Okay, yes. Speaking country parks employees, yes. You have to talk to the person in charge. There are occasions when Eagle projects get really messed up when they're not communicating with the actual people who have the authority to make those decisions. So, make sure you're talking to the right people. And it's okay. You can talk to everybody, start with the janitor and work your way through everybody in that building. Talk to them all. And that way, you are talking, and they will guide you to the right person that has the authorization to commit to a project. So that's very important. Um, Parks, yes, parks are a great resource. There are a lot of places around. Okay, a lot of times parks are okay. Some parks are private, and if you're going for the award, that might be an issue. So you have to look into the requirements of the reward to make sure that that's appropriate. I know that with an Eagle project, you cannot do an Eagle project for the Boy Scouts. You can't go to your local camp and do what you would do at an ordeal. Okay, you can't do all that work and stuff. So, or a service weekend of some kind. So with a conservation project, that might be an avenue. Would be the scouts. That might be the process. But if you're doing a conservation project as a Eagle project, it may not get approved. That might not be approved at the scout ranch or the scout camp. Okay, so you have to go within the guidelines of what you're doing. Now, if you're just doing a conservation project, I believe that the scouts could also be an option. It can lead to a lot of conversations. Tony is correct. Being being a scout, we're friendly, courteous. We use our bravery. We're brave, we're courteous, we're kind. We go out there and you can have these conversations. You would be amazed what you can find out. Um, this was a long time ago. I was mentoring some scouts back when I was assistant scoutmaster, and I went over to this park that had it been established, and it was kind of empty. There was no benches, there was no pavilion, it was kind of empty. So I went to this park, and I talked to the lovely lady there. She was just wonderful. She had just gotten her grant for almost I think it was $6 million worth of materials. The problem was that the grant didn't give her any funding for labor. And I'm thinking, oh, this is perfect. Perfect. Okay, I know some labor. I mean, she had barns full of benches. She had a pavilion sitting in a box. I mean, it was a huge box. I mean, the frames and all that stuff. But she had no way of putting down the concrete. Now, she had to do that through a contractor. That's just to keep the building sound. So, but as far as setting it up and helping out and doing those things, building pin areas, that was a way that at this park we had about 6 Eagle projects out of that one thing, and they were busy every weekend. It was amazing. Okay, so you'll be amazed just talking to people. Be a scout. Being a scout leader, it's kind of natural for us to go and talk to strangers at some event or at some park to find out what's going on. So, and that's a wonderful thing. But we can do this. But as far as your conservation project, definitely find out what they need. It could be anything. It could be planting trees. It could be clearing brush. It could be anything. Conservation is a huge thing. Cleaning up a river area, it's huge. It's gigantic. So, oh, Tony, you got another one. Just wanted to ask you, do you have advice for someone who is close to aging out and wants to stay in the troop as an ASM? Awesome idea. I like your thinking there. That's good. Any big tips? Keep in mind. Okay, pitfalls. Yeah, there. You know, as you get older, Tony, I think you're a younger scout. You're not 60 like I am. Okay. As a young individual going through the scouting program, it is natural for you to want to give back to your troop. That's natural. That's a good thing. Harness that, okay? And I recommend that totally. But a lot of times after 18, you're an adult in the troop world, okay? In a crew world, if you're adventuring, a crew world, that doesn't happen until you turn 21, okay? So there's a difference there. Um, for a troop, as soon as you turn 18, you're no longer considered a youth. And at that point, you're an adult. You would fill out the adult form. You would do the adult background check. You would do the online YPT training, as we expect all adults, including non-leaders, to do. So you got to do all those things. So it is a commitment, and I highly recommend that you do give back to the unit as much as you can. Now, a lot of scouts don't realize that life comes along and school often is out of town, okay, where you grew up, where your troop is, okay? So you may have to go off to, I'm in Central Florida, so a lot of youth go to Gainesville or um, Tallahassee, or they go off to Miami, or they go out of state. That can happen, okay? And it would be very difficult to give back to your troop when you're out of state at school. So, and a lot of times that connection is lost, and it's sad, but there should be some connection. There's, and it's natural. This is a natural part of growing up. It's a natural part of becoming an adult, and getting those responsibilities. And of course, you have everything from a career, marriage, degrees, kids, all that kind of stuff. So I took 20 years off of scouting. That was big. I gave as much as I could, but my career took me out of state, so I couldn't give back to my unit. Um, that was it would have been nice. It would have been nice to stay in contact, but I was traveling all over the world. So my job was, I mean, it would be nothing to spend 6 months in Toronto, okay, and living in South Florida. So it's a commute, okay. I had a lot of miles, but it was wearing. And after 9/11, I said no more. I'm going to go home, which is Orlando. And I went home, and I started to do some entrepreneur stuff and started some businesses, and that it just kind of grew from there. That's what I did for many years. My son, I I wanted him to join scouting from, well, when he first was in grade school. I wanted him to be involved. So I wanted him to get involved in it. So I wanted him to do it. And because old man dad was gung ho on it, wasn't interested until we moved back to Orlando. He had a brand new friend in the fifth grade, and they were going to go to scout night and get baseball cards. That was the deal. I was over the moon. I was very happy. Well, at the end of the night, I ended up being the Cub Master. So I was back involved, and I never left. I've moved from position to position. So that's one of the as what that scouting will find you. You have skills. You have skills, and if life happens, where you're dragged away and not available, that's okay. Just remember that the scouting spirit, the scout oath and scout law, lives within your heart. That's the best thing. There was a time when I was hiring people, and I had the scout law on the wall, and you know, I said that's what I want to hire. So, and if you've got that in your heart, you're a sure thing. You're going to do very well. So those are great pointers. And there really isn't any pitfalls. The only pitfall would be not get back involved, if you could think of it that way. That would be bad for the troop. It would be bad for scouting. Um, you have to pay it forward. In fact, the very first episode on the 11th is about paying it forward and getting involved and doing scouting. Okay, get back involved. Start helping these young people get the skills, learn to adopt the Scout Oath and Scout Law into their daily lives. That that's the key. That is the key that opens all the doors. Very important. So, got another one here. Sean, hi. Can you talk about tips on the upcoming National Jamboree? I love the Jamboree. My Jamboree that I went to as a youth was the 1977 Jamboree at Moraine State Park, or Moraine as we ended up calling it. It rained a lot. And in fact, I was with the Mass Bay Federated Council at the time, which was like the Boston area council. That was the contingent I was with. Our island, well, it wasn't an island; it was a peninsula when we got there. The island was landfill. Nobody said that. It's really what it was, with a bunch of dirt on top of the landfill. And the landfill started to, after a while, started to sink into the bay of the lake. It was pretty dramatic, but we got evacuated and they moved us off. So some things like that leave an impression on you. But it was 1977. Um, I believe that's the year of Star Wars. There's a little reference there, but yeah, the Jamboree. I'd love to go to the Jamboree. Jamboree is permanently based at our high adventure base in West Virginia. The summit is one of these gorgeous places. I grew up in that area. My father is from Bell Holler, which is just north of Beckley. Okay, it's in that West Virginia mountain area, um, and we would often camp down on the New River, where current day the summit is. It would be wonderful. I'd love to go back. Um, I believe our former national commissioner is the head of that of this year's big thing, and we know each other. It's one of those. We use it's a first name basis. We Tito and I we do scouting stuff. We do OA stuff. He's from Tipasaw, so he's a great guy, sharp. Oh my gosh, he is. I'd love to have him on. That would be wonderful if I could have him on. That would be really cool. But the National Jamboree that's coming up should be a lot of fun. Now, locally, we have a Jamborette, which is an international Jamborette coming up. I believe it's this summer. I believe so. I'll have to look into that. But these Jamborettes happen all over the United States. And groups from Scotland or Ireland or France or Africa come to these little Jamborettes in the United States. And so those are international. So, and that ought to be very. It's 3 weeks, I believe. I believe the National Jamboree typically is 10 days. It's almost like a high adventure trip to Philmont. They're very similar. in their construction. But the contingents that go to the Jamboree, I think, will have a wonderful time. That is a beautiful part of the United States. John Denver said it was almost heaven, and it sure is. It sure is. Okay, so it is beautiful up there. Those mountains are gorgeous. Um, let's see. Can you fail at brotherhood? No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. You know where you fail at that? When you fail at brotherhood, the question is about, can you fail at brotherhood? You know when you fail at it is when you don't try. That's when you fail. If you if you make an effort, it's it's really just go in and learn the stuff, write your letter, do your stuff. There's a great ceremony that was developed recently. It's been updated. So, and it goes through updates because we always check it with the local tribes and make sure that we're not offending anyone. And it's the scouting way to be courteous and kind to everyone. So that has changed recently. So that's you got to do your brotherhood. Brotherhood is where you finish your membership. You start it with ordeal. You do the ordeal. It's almost like Wood Badge. Wood Badge, you do classes and stuff, and then you got a ticket. Okay. Well, it's very similar. You do your ordeal, that's the classroom, and then you have to go back and do service for your unit. Okay, that's your ticket. So it's kind of in that realm. At the end is brotherhood. Okay, so do brotherhood. Get the little slashes, and that's it. Those are the only two levels. That's the membership process for the OA. You've probably seen the videos that are on the channel talking about those two things. Those are wonderful. I don't think you can. There are people who need to listen a little better at, at the brotherhood classes and stuff like that. So that's happened. Okay, but I don't think anything like that's happened. Oh, way back in 19 or no 18, 2019, I attended the World Jamboree. Fantastic. I've That's on my bucket list. I want to attend a World Jamboree. And I got patch trading. Yes, that's cool. Yeah, tradeory. We have traderies in Central Florida. I don't know if your council or district has that. Definitely give them a call. Find out if they have traderies. Those are wonderful. A lot of times these can be put on a blanket. Patches that you've collected from these events. You might even have a camp blanket that you can put your patches on. It would be nice if you had enough patches for each event. So I've seen ones for like NOAC 2015, and it would have all the NOAC 2015 patch collections on a blanket. Okay, so and then the very next time I see the same scouter, they'll have one that's Jamboree from you know different ones. You could actually come up with that. That's a great way to have them at a campfire and show the other, as an adult, show other scouts what is available, what's out there. We can't just have the blinders on. We need to be looking forward. It's a scouting movement. We need to move forward as time goes on, but we need to show the scouts what has happened. These patches are living history, and putting them out there for the scouts to see is very important. Don't leave them in a frame on a wall. You are the only one that gets to see that. The rest of your scouter friends and the scouts that it would mean a whole lot to need to see it. So think about that. But as far as trading patches internationally, and I've heard this from many people, mainly from World Jamborees, especially in Asia. They don't trade patches. They trade shirts, whole uniform shirts. It's kind of expensive. In America, these are not cheap shirts. These shirts, they're 30, $40. Just blank, no patches. So they can be expensive. They last a long time. The shirt I had on in 20, gosh, in the season 6, that shirt I've had through the first 6 seasons, and I had it 10 years prior to that. So they last a very long time. It takes a lot of washing, and I will wear my uniform at least 3 times a week. Now that I'm doing advancement stuff, that's it. It would be very expensive, and I would be, trading shirts would be difficult. That would be You'd have to have a really interesting trade to trade shirts. That's a youth thing. And then it's funny is that sometimes they'll take what they've traded for and they don't keep it. They'll trade for another thing and they'll just keep doing that. And if you're planning on it, you could probably get some inexpensive shirts and, and do them up. Put all kinds of patches on them. So that if you're planning on that. So, but for international patch trading, it varies. It varies. Some places I know in England they do their necker. I wear mine in the American fashion. I wear it under the collar. They wear theirs over the collar. So that's true throughout Europe. Um, they trade full neckerchiefs. They call them neckers. We call them neckerchiefs. Sometimes they call them scarfs. So that's another term for them. Woggles. That's anything that you put on, like this is a wood badge woggle. Okay, so that's a possibility. You could trade woggles. You could trade all kinds of things. I tie them all the time. There's one sitting here on the desk. Uh, so it's something to do while you're watching television. You can tie them up. In fact, I remembered that I committed to tying some for a local unit. I'm going to have to start. I'm going to start tying those up. But trading those kinds of things is great. And definitely check with your local district and council. Best to call the council service center. That's probably the best option. Call them and say, hey, when's the next tradery? Where do I get the flyer? Or their website. There could be a website that you frequent for information about your council and district activities. So, and that's important. I'm going to check all of the stuff here to make sure it's all good. If you are watching this live, um, let's put it this way: you're lucky because the questions, the chat will still be there. Okay, that's one of those wonderful um, things with being live. That you can see the questions. The last two we lost the questions because when you trim the ends of a video, the YouTube doesn't tell you, but they take the live chat away. So I was kind of upset with them, and I wrote them a strongly worded paragraph saying they need to make it big red flashing thing. By the way, your chat's gonna disappear. You're never gonna see it again. That they needed to put on there. But so if you are doing live stuff for YouTube, keep that in mind. If you change any of the edits on live feeds later, you lose your chat. So just a fair warning. But being live, you get to see all the chat. So it's wonderful. And I see quite a few here. Can you fail brotherhood? I'm your dad. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Go do your brotherhood. Okay, you'll be fine. Um, that's one of the youth that I know. I know. So, alrighty. Well, it has been fun. Goodness gracious, how many minutes have we done so far? I have no idea. I'm looking through all these stats on the screen. Holy gamoly. 44 minutes? Amazing. Sean's got another question. Is there a way you could do a video or display all Tipasaw Lodge and other OA flaps promoting patch trading. You know what? Tipasaw is a very unique patch. And when we're talking Tipasaw, I'm going to stand up a little bit. You can see it. It's right there. Tipasaw. Our logo has a um, a peace pipe on it that's lit. That's the little curly white stuff that's above it. If we ever change that, we lose it. Okay, they will never, National will never approve that again. Okay, so Tipasaw is always going to look very similar. Tipasaw also has commemorative patches that don't have that on it at all. Okay, so they have a very wide selection of different Tipasaw patches. Whenever they do hosting for conclaves and do all those special events, they will come up with new flaps. But that's just a temporary flap. It's not the flap. Okay, so that's one of those things that Tipasaw does. Depending on your chapter, depending on your lodge, will depend on what your flap is going to look like. When I started in the OA as a youth, I was with Makajuan, which is up in Wisconsin. Makajuan is a huge camp. If you get a chance, check it out. They've got some videos online. It's beautiful. My father and my mom actually had to live there for a summer, so that so he was the ranger of the camp for a while. As a professional, they needed him, so they took off. So, but Makajuan's where I did my first ordeal. In fact, I have something. I contacted Northeast Illinois Council, and I'm trying to remember. It's a it's a flap, but it's old, super old. So it was given to me. It was the original drawing, I think, of their very first Makajuan patch. I think. I don't know. But there's different histories. So Tipasaw here, if you live in Central Florida, it's very easy to go to Lenoche. Lenoche is the summer camp that a lot of the scouts go to in Central Florida. And there is an actual Tipasaw museum. The walls are filled with patches and neckerchiefs and photographs and history. It's a wonderful place to visit. It's an example of what's almost at every single summer camp. I'm sure Rainy Mountain's got it. I know that Woodruff has got it. I know that there's a lot of different camps all over the Northeast, all over the West, that have lodges that are very proud of their patch. That's a thing you got to do in person. Go and do that. Thank you for the suggestion. That would be a wonderful thing. Out and about, looking at all the neat things. I've often thought that would be fun. Maybe when I retire, that's probably something I would do, is go around to all the campsites and see all the different patches and all the unique things that they have. Every camp is unique, so check your local camp out. They will help you out. Let's see, Jeff, you got a question. Are you going to be episodes regarding the United Methodist Church units? Okay, I think the schism, they've actually split the church. I was brought up United Methodist. That's a church we attended, and scouting was the youth program. But there's been an issue within the church, so they've split. Um, it is one of those subjects that I should do a video about, because it's not just the United Methodist Church, the Catholic Church locally has kind of stopped chartering units. I have a unit that ceased to exist yesterday, literally the 31st. They because the charter ended. The church was not going to renew it after 38 years. Um, it's sad to see this happen. Um, I don't think that it's going to have the results that people might think it's not going to affect scouting. Scouting is an essential part of youth training. So I don't think it's going to eliminate scouting. That might be a fear that a lot of people have. But I think there's, it's funny is that most units can find another charter rather quickly, because it's obvious how important scouting is. I don't know if it's politics. I don't know if it's policy programs that are not matching up well with the charter. I don't know. It's almost a case by case, but it can be sensitive, okay, when you're dealing with scouting and units. Um, it was sad to see a unit not get rechartered, but luckily I think it was 7 scouts that were in the unit. They all found homes, so locally, the other troops they went to. So that is always a sad thing. And then with United Methodist Church, I'm not sure if they're going by UMC anymore. I don't know. It's We'll let them figure out where that's all going to settle. Um, if they want a scout unit, that's fine. If not, they can easily find a charter somewhere else. It's what it comes down to is that charter organization owns the equipment, and becomes an issue because scout units raise money to buy equipment that becomes the property of another of somebody who may not choose to charter them. So that becomes issues. Okay, you get a lot of bad feelings. When you take the tents away and the trailer, and you take the meeting place away. A lot of people get upset about that, not and rightly so. Because it's scouting is a good thing, and to have bad things happen to it, it's inevitable. But a lot of times we can overcome that. As an adults, we can usually take a deep breath and move on to other things and help the scouts that we've always wanted to help in our unit. That's the key. They're the important part. The charter, they're important, but not as important as that new scout joining. Okay, that new scout joining is the world. Okay, that is an opportunity to help them better their lot in life. So that's always been my big thing about scouting. Scouting is very important. So, but as far as the doing a video on that, I will have to give it some consideration. You'd be amazed how many things I have on the back burner, suggestions, and that might be a back burner already. That might be already there. It might be just waiting to figure out what's going to happen with the church. I know that the church is splitting. A lot of their stuff, a lot of the congregations are moving into two different variations. So that we gotta let that settle first. So that's the important part. Uh, what components of an Eagle Court of Honor? All right, this is a court of honor. Um, are the most important to you? The Eagle Charge. As far as the rest of the ceremony, it should be respectful and reflecting the scouts' point of view. I've been to ones that were intense, okay, with audience response and actors and lighting and music and audio and incredible. But I've been to ones that were out in nature that were wonderful. I went to one at a beach. It was awesome. I thought it was going to be terrible. I thought we were going to get sand blasted. It was pretty windy, but I, I, you know, that is one of the things about an Eagle Court of Honor is that Eagle Charge. And one thing that started here, and oddly enough, it was with a church that is no longer has a unit. The unit moved. That's right. The unit moved in the church. They sold the property. Their congregation was older, and They couldn't afford the building anymore, so they sold the property. It became a housing place. Regardless, they had a ceremony once, and this was many years ago, where they have the eagle up there. That the mom has pinned the eagle. So I think that was the first part of that process. Then they asked all the Eagle Scouts in the troop and in the audience to come up to the stage and stand behind the scout. And when the scout did the scout or the eagle charge, when they did that, they did their scout sign, and then all of the people on stage did the sign and put their hand on his shoulder. That was It was amazing. Talk about a photographic moment. That was amazing to see that. It was just, and to be there. The electricity in the room. It was breathtaking. Okay, it was awesome. And I saw that, and I've tried to incorporate that or inspire other scouts to do that part of the ceremony. They can write any ceremony they want. That's all up to the scout. The only thing that they should have in there is the eagle charge. That's the one thing. That is important, and it's important not only just for the scout that the whole ceremony and everything's about, but it's important for all of the adult leaders. The adult leaders standing behind that Eagle Scout, renewing their charge. That was the electrifying part because they're mentors. They other scouts see it, so it's one of those things that is a great thing to add to a ceremony. But definitely do the charge. Got one more question, and then we're gonna call it quits because I'm actually on vacation. This is like a party having you guys here. This is wonderful. All right, let me go. Let's see. Can you do a video on venturing officers association? That would be interesting. I did a video on the basics, like 101 of venturing. That was not this past season. Was the season before that? I did one. I remember seeing that. It didn't make the cut on the Heinz 57. I don't know why, but that was one of those things. Um, but definitely look at that. As far as the different officer association, that's something I might just do. That would be a very worthwhile video. So I will definitely note that. So Corey, you probably will see a note somewhere. Yeah, we'll do it. UMC. All right, Anthony. Okay, UMC is this, and leadership. Okay, is the only recommendation. I know that the UC churches, United Methodist Church. The thing about that, the bankruptcy stuff, from what I've read. Now keep this in mind. I'm a volunteer. Okay, I don't get paid by the Scouts. I'm not a professional scouter. My father was, my brother was, but I wasn't. So I'm a volunteer through and through. So my opinion means nothing. Okay, but as far as the bankruptcy, once that's done, I don't see a problem with units. I don't see a problem. Scouting is safer than it's ever been. Okay, in the past there were problems. In the past they might have had those issues. They don't have that issue now. It is very youth protection is extremely serious, and because of that, I don't think we have those problems. We try to nip it as soon as we find out anything going on. We nip it. So that is one of the things that I think this bankruptcy thing is just because of all the lawyers and all the investment groups. Personal opinion. So as soon as that gets handled and settled and done, I don't think it's going to have any effect at all on any of the charters. I don't see how, unless the charter's doing something. then it shouldn't really bother them. It shouldn't affect them. That's that's the way I see it. Um, that's that. Well, it's beyond what I do. Okay, as far as the bankruptcy and all that stuff. So but it's one of those things that we just got to keep praying that the good things will happen for scouting and for the youth that we service. So that is one of the things that I keep thinking about is that that's great. Hopefully they'll get that settled and we can help the real victims. Okay, the real victims, and get them help and get them some kind of help. Okay, more than what we can do. Um, and the rest of it is just lawyers and people that are not living by the Scout Oath and law. So those people will we all have a boss to answer to. Okay, if you get my drift, we all have a boss. So, but at the end of the day, I think that's going to be handled. So, uh, moving moments. Thank you, friend. I always enjoy your videos. Thank you so much. I'm so glad that you enjoy the videos. That is wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. I know all you guys enjoy the videos. If you don't, let me know. Just don't give me a thumbs down. Tell me why. Okay. Put it in the comments. That's one of those. Oh, Lewis, you are awesome. um, the wonderful thing about scouting is that you guys are awesome. Okay, and I I want to do you guys a favor. I want you guys to to enjoy those videos and get stuff out of those videos. That's the key. That is the key. We do some great work, and I always look at pictures of scouts that I've helped. They're out there building a rope bridge or something, and I got a picture of it, and I'm thinking, that scout walking across is an Eagle Scout. And he just recently told me that he was finishing his certification at Great Lakes Naval Base, and he's going to be working on a submarine. Okay, so I see those pictures, and it just fills my heart. Okay, that's a wonderful thing. And Lewis, thank you so much for the super. I really appreciate that. That is very helpful. Lewis and I have had a conversation recently. The channel is doing really well. We're getting a lot of views. There's a lot of people joining us. The channel's doing really well. The advertising revenue, which I was hoping to buy a new microphone because this one's a little tinny. Okay, I know. I've listened to it. I'd like to get one that's on a boom or something like that. So, but unfortunately, the ad revenue for the channel has nosedived since November. The most recent count, it's almost 73%. I think that is dropped that much. So no new microphone yet. Eventually, I'll get a new microphone and we'll put it up there. But that $5 is going to go towards that microphone. So I'll tell you that right now. Any money that's brought in, I always give 10% to the scouts. So I put that aside for them, and that's one of those things about monetizing the channel and all that. It tore me to pieces thinking about it. I didn't want to go commercial, but it's expensive putting this stuff together, and I'm on a fixed income. I'm semi-retired, and I've got one venture that I'd love to sell. That's an entrepreneur's never-ending thing. Okay, as soon as that venture sells, I'm retiring. So, yeah, thank you so much, and I appreciate everyone for hanging in there. Moving Moments, thank you so much, and Lewis, thank you. So I appreciate it all, guys, and hopefully I'll hit the right button. So, I'm not going to edit any of this. Okay, so that way the chat will stay there. Thank you so much for your time, and I thank you so much for being with me. And of course, I will see you on the trail. Let's see if I can hit the button now. There we go.